Am I on? Am I on? Can we hear me? Can we hear me? Maybe I'll just use the pulpit. I don't even... Oh, the devil's in the AV. I swear. I needed a good mic today, too. I threw my voice out making fun of the guys bowling yesterday. It was loud. It was fun. It was a good time to get out there with you guys, though. Man. You know, Greg showed up with his own bowling ball, and it took him about four rounds before he hit a pin. It made it look. I said, uh-oh, we're in some trouble. He got his own ball. Man, it's good to be in the house of the Lord today. I'm excited. I'm excited to see your faces. I'm excited that this is the last week of our series, Jacob. This is one of my favorite passages I like to preach on. I actually preached, my very first sermon I ever preached was on the story of Jacob. So to get to turn it into and stretch it out into a whole series and go through it, I'm going to give a little bit of man, it's hard not to walk around. I'm just going to try to be loud and I'll walk around and hopefully you guys hear me. Oh, yeah. So a little bit of the story thus far, right? You got Jacob and you got his son or his brother Esau. They're in the womb. Somehow they both know that they want to be firstborn. Esau's born first, and Jacob's actually grabbing the heel of Esau. And it actually gave Jacob his name, because Jacob translates to heel grabber, which is also a term of con man, which we find out that Jacob does become a bit of a con man. So, first thing he does is he cons his brother out of being the firstborn, his birthright. So Esau, big manly hunter, comes back and he had a bad day at the office. He didn't get any game that day, and he comes into the kitchen where Jacob's in there cooking some stew. And Esau goes, I'm starving, I'm going to die. And Jacob goes, I'll give you some stew. You give me your birthright. Worst negotiation in history, right? And then later on we find out that he decided Esau was going to pretend that didn't happen, and it was time for Isaac to give the blessing to the firstborn. Even though Jacob should have had that, Isaac liked Esau more, the hunter, the man's man. So Jacob, his mom dresses him up like Esau, gets him all hairy and smelled of wild game clothes, and he goes, and Isaac's blind by this time, and he's old, and he's like, I want to bless you, my son. Who are you? And he goes, it's me, Esau. That's what Jacob said, it's me, Esau. And he goes and he gets the blessing, he tricks his father, and then Esau vows to kill him. So now Jacob has to go on a run. And he's running around and he's trying to get to where he's safe. He gets to his uncle's house. Then we see he gets conned by his uncle. You can't con an honest man, but Jacob wasn't an honest man, was he? So his uncle starts conning him, and he says, I see you love my daughter. I tell you what, you work for me, and I'll give you that daughter. And the time came up, and it's dime. He's like, all right, I did it. Now I can have her. And he goes, no, I meant that daughter. The other daughter. You want this one, you got to work again. Had to do it all over again. And then you just got Jacob. Then we had Jacob. Remember, he fell asleep on the way there. And that was the first time God could reach him, when he was alone and scared and on the run. And that's when he finally was like, oh my gosh, God spoke to me here. God must be here. And remember, that's where he found his Bethel. Right? We all start thinking of the first place we find God. Where is our Bethel? Right? Now we're going to start back up again with the story as it comes to a halt, because he's about to run into Esau again. Oh no, is Esau still mad? Of all the manipulation of everything he did? You see, the sermon title is called The Original Wrestlemania, because this is also where Jacob wrestles with God. Right? And wrestling, you got two guys. You got they call them the heel. The heel is the bad guy, I guess you would say. And then you got the face. This is the hero, the Hulk Hogan's, the eat your vitamins, say your prayers guys. And then they'd have to go fight they'd usually make them some, Sergeant Slaughter or any of those. No, nobody watched these when they were younger. I watched them growing up, man. That was my thing. I remember when Hulk Hogan turned heel when he went to WCW, right? And I remember he came, he's yellow and red, and then all of a sudden he was Hollywood Hogan, and they just showed kids crying in the audience, like, not Hulk Hogan, he turned heel, right? I remember they were going, the Attitude Era began. But this is I think the story where Jacob, the heel grabber, will become the face, will become somebody that God can use. He's going to become the good guy, right? So God says it's time, Jacob. You've been running too long. It's time to go meet back up with your brother. At this time, it's been 21 years that Jacob took off running from his brother. 21 years where he had to be conned himself. He had to sleep with a rock pillow, remember? How uncomfortable that must have been. And now God's saying, I need you to go back to this guy who made a vow to kill you because I have something planned in that scenario. I think God knows that sometimes we need to face the very thing that plagued our spiritual growth in order for us to go forward. Sometimes we got scars, and I know we all have them. Sometimes we got to go back and face those scars. Because God's saying, I'm trying to use that. I'm trying to use what you're hiding. I'm trying to use what you're running from. So it's time to go back and face it. So Jacob, of course, he's listening to God now. He already had that Bethel moment. And he's like, all right, I got to go meet Esau. So he starts to psych himself up, right? He's like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I better pull back a minute. Let me come up with a plan, right? He's scared. His brother vowed to kill him. I want to be running back into that. But so he starts coming up with his own ideas, knowing that if God tells you something, if he gave a promise, if he says it's okay to go here, God already took care of it. But he got this scenario in his head, and he's like, I need to start figuring out some things on my own. So he decides to test the waters. And the first thing he does is he sends messengers. He says, hey, I want you to go to Esau, and I want you to tell him that you're my servants, and just see what he says. And if you come back and you're not dead, I'll know that at least some of the heat died down a little bit. Right? So I'm going to pick up the story right here. Genesis 32, verse 6. This is right when the messengers returned from Esau. And it says, the messengers returned to Jacob. They said, we went to your brother Esau, and now he's coming to meet you. And he has 400 men with him. How would you take that? Would you hear that, hey, my messengers aren't dead? Would you hear, oh, the guy, this is how that game of telephone works. This is how text message works. Did you ever read a text message and you just read it like they're being sarcastic, but they're being genuine? Like that kind of thing. This is how it happened right here for old Jacob. He used the words meet you, not kill you, but this is all he heard is, why is he bringing 400 men with him? Have you ever noticed that when we're worried about something, we just kind of expect it to happen? My sister struggles with this a lot. She just, if any time her life is actually going good, she gets such anxiety because she's just waiting for the other shoe to drop. She says, life isn't good. Life isn't easy. I'm happy right now. Something bad is about to happen, right? And you almost put it into the world that way, where you're just living in this. It's going. We expect it to get worse. We don't see that Esau may be coming for another reason, that God already said you were supposed to meet back up. All we hear is 400 men. So now Jacob's even more scared, so he comes up with some of his more ideas. It says, in great fear and distress, Jacob divided the people who were with him into two groups, and the flocks and the herds and the camels as well. He thought, if Esau comes to attack one group, the other group can escape. Plan number one, divide, right? Hey, well, this way I'll only lose half of you. All right, take it. I want you here. You know, he got his two wives there. That's another sermon. We're not going to get into that right now, right? But here's the wife who I didn't really kind of want. Maybe some of the scrawny animals, and we'll get my other wife over here. So my kids over here, right? Trying to take it all theirs. But then he did something that he should have done from the get-go. And it says in verse 9, then Jacob prayed. Why is going to God always the last thing we try? We act like he's in short supply for us. Jacob's coming up with all these ideas of how he's going to meet Esau and how he's going to not die from this encounter, when all he had to do was ask God for guidance, for help. It reminds me of that, remember the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? It was good with Regis, right? I feel like people hold on to Jesus like he's just one lifeline, like a one-time use. You know? Be like, well, I'll go to God, but I still got my 50-50 shot here, right? And I feel like that's how we use it. In Matthew 11:28, I already said it says, come here, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. But it never follows up with just once. Or 3 times, like he's a genie in a bottle. But we wait until our whole world is falling apart till we finally call out to God. But there's no limit on what our God can do and how much he can do and how much he wants to do for us. He just wants to hear from us a little sooner. He'll still answer those foxhole prayers of desperation. But he's asking you, he's like, why are you waiting so long? If you want victory, just ask for help. When I went back to Youngstown, I would play, they had a regular Nintendo system, and it was Contra. The game Contra. Remember left, right, up, right? The cheat code? I couldn't remember it. I didn't need it. Yeah. But they would do this thing where if one guy died, you could steal the other guy's lives. Right? So I would play with my nephew, and we're playing together, and he's, 8 years old at the time? And he just keeps dying. And then he just keeps stealing my guys. And then he keeps dying, stealing my guys. So I couldn't die not once. Right? But then when we win the game, when we finally get through it, he puts his hands in the air and he goes, Mama, we beat Contra. Right? And I just want to look at him and go, you beat Contra. But we need to have that tank-like attitude. You know, just ask God. Just say, hey, play this game with me. Take the controller and watch what happens. Right? Allow us to take part in the victory with Jesus. He said, we did it. We did it. I tried everything to fix my own life, just like Jacob. I had every scheme, every plan, every good intention, and all it did was seem to make things worse, just like Jacob. And then I got to the point where I prayed, and God redeemed me, and it seemed like it was very little effort on his part. If only I would have tried that first. If only I would have tried, maybe before I do the 50-50, I would have phoned to God. It could have been the difference between 10 years of misery and 10 years of victory. Jacob prays in verse 9, and then this is what I love about Jacob. This is why he's one of my favorite characters, because verse 9 he prays, by verse 13 he's back to taking the controller. He's back to trying to do it his way again. A night of prayer, he wakes up, and the fear starts creeping in again, and it's time to go for this. And he goes, maybe I could buy Esau's forgiveness. So he started sending herds and herds of animals, right? Not all at once. He'd say, all right, I need you to go in this group. I'm going to send my servants over here. I'm bringing them these gifts, and then we'll just keep making it waves and waves and waves. It reminds me, when I was younger, I bought my dad one of these tool belts with all the little tools like the saw and thing, and I was like, I'll wrap them all up separate. It looked like he got like 7 gifts, but that's what he did. He just starts sending all his herds and his animals and his treasures, and he just starts sending them wave after wave, and he goes, Esau's going to be so happy with all the stuff I'm giving him that he's just going to forgive me. 32:20, he says, I'm going to pacify him with these gifts, and then I'll wait a day, and then maybe he'll receive me when he's on this gift high. Jacob then sends his wives and 11 kids across the Jabbok, the river there, and then he was left alone for the night. Remember last time Jacob was left alone? That's when God was able to speak to him. And it happens again right here. Only this time it's not a dream. This time it's not Jacob's ladder. This time it's not thing. This time he's actually wrestles with God. I tend to fall on the side that, some scholars believe this is the manifestation of Jesus because he came down as a man. It wasn't a burning bush. And he sat there and he wrestled with God. Jacob had this wrestling match, the original Wrestlemania. It sounds weird, but we've all wrestled with God, right? But I think this is a very important passage that sometimes gets overlooked or skipped across. We feel that our way is best, and then we purposely tune God out. God, I want you in the hard times, but I want to take that controller back when things are going good. But now he is wrestling with this. And during this, he somehow starts to realize that this isn't a normal man he's wrestling with. In verse 24, it reads, So Jacob was left alone. A man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched. And as he wrestled with the man said, Let me go, for it is daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. He realized during this wrestling match that he was with the one person that he spent his life trying to grasp. This is the person that could give me that blessing that I tried to steal off my brother. This is the person that could give me that blessing. This is God I have here. And I'm not letting go of you, God, until you bless me. Until you give me that promise that you told my parents years ago. That the older will serve the younger. That I will be a forefather for generations. I'm not letting go of you, God, until you bless me. When was the last time we held on to God that tight? We know he has better for us, but we give up on him so quick. We almost turn to blaming him. But Jacob held on so tight and said, I'm not letting go of you, God. Not this time. Then the man asked him, What is your name? Wonder who Jacob's going to pretend to be now. Is he still going to try to be Esau, firstborn? But Jacob goes, Jacob is my name. And then God says, your name will no longer be Jacob, but it will be Israel. Because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. Then Jacob said, Please tell me your name. But he replied, Why do you want to know my name? And the man right there, God blessed him on the spot. My name is Jacob, he said. I'm not Esau. I'm not dressed up. I'm the heel grabber. I'm the con artist. I'm the deceiver. And God said, no, you were that when you were a heel. But now you're the face. And I'm giving you a new name. You will be known as Israel. One of the translations of Israel is one who wrestled with God. It's very poignant, because if you look over there right now, they're still wrestling with God, not quite ready to believe in the Messiah. But if we come to God with the real us, not only will He give us a new name, but He's going to give us a new storyline. God won't bless who you pretend to be. Jacob had to become the face to be blessed. He had to wrestle with his past, wrestle with God, and be that man. He did overcome. My name is Jacob. Here's the broken mess I created. Can you please bless me? God could use the real Jacob. He said, you're broken no more. Just like when God came down and blessed Jacob, Jesus Christ came down from heaven to restore our birthright and our blessing and give us a new name, right? Where we could stand up and say, I'm no longer con man. I'm no longer thief. I'm no longer convict. I'm no longer felon. I'm no longer drug addict. Because I have been redeemed by the blood of Jesus. That is my new name. Redeemed. Call me my new name, saved by grace. You just call me Captain. A new name. Whatever you call me, know that God made me, because it's what Jesus did for me. And here's the thing, when you read through the Bible, you start to get confused, because Jacob, he's awesome. He had this transition. He's this new creation, right? And God gave him the new name, and He said, your name is Israel. That's your name now. But then you keep reading through scriptures, and it keeps going back and forth. Sometimes scripture refers to him as Jacob, and then sometimes He refers to him as Israel. And you look at it and you start to see it is because He keeps going back to his human nature. But through all that, Jacob makes a lot more mistakes after this. He makes a lot more mistakes. He keeps trying to take his will back. He keeps coming up with plans of his own and all of this. He keeps trying to turn back to heel, but he's already been made face. And this is my favorite in Exodus 3:16, when Moses was at the burning bush, right? He says, I am who I am. I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac. And then you think he's going to say Israel, Jacob's new name, Jacob's godly name. But he doesn't. He says, Jacob, I am the God of Jacob. And I like to read that because he's saying, yeah, I'm the God of Abraham, one of the pioneers of faith. And I'm the God of Isaac. But guess what? I'm the God of Jacob too. Yeah, I'm the God of Israel, but I'm the God of Jacob too. I'm the God when you're at your lowest and you're not living right. I'm the God of that guy, your human nature side. I am your God too. I am your God when you're feeling unworthy of having a God. I'm still your God. And I'm still here ready for that call. To finish my half Bible story, half lesson today, I want to tell you what happened when Jacob finally met Esau. In chapter 33, verses 3 and 4, Jacob, after trying all these schemes to pacify his brother, he himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and he wept. All that fear, all that hurt was already taken care of. The blessing was already prepared. God will not send you somewhere unless there's a reason, and it's not to get murdered by your brother. Jacob need not be afraid of Esau because God already take care of it. Go here, be blessed. Not be killed, be blessed. I know you don't want to go there. I know it sounds uncomfortable and it's scary and it's a new environment. But go here and be blessed. This is what I want. It's not going to kill you. You're going to be better for it. He's already taken care of it. Throughout the Bible, you see this repeatedly. And we still make the same mistakes, right? Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh, right? He got eaten by a whale. You think of Moses, right? He's a patriarch, right? He didn't ever get to go to that promised land because he was too scared to go and fight the giants. He was too scared to go into that land. And then when they see that God already taken care of it, you get to that point. If God's made a promise, He's already done it. Do not live in fear of what if. What if they won't forgive me? What if I fail? What if I let everyone down? What if? You cannot disappoint what God already appointed. We need to remember this, that He may send you in a situation where it seems like you're against the odds, where the walls are stacked up against you. But you need not stress, right? You need not be afraid. You need not doubt because it's already taken care of. He's not saying, I need you to live right so I can work this blessing out. He's saying the blessing's there. It's already worked out. You just need to walk into it. When Isaac finally did die, you think he died. This is 21 years. He was already blind. He couldn't tell when he blessed Jacob, thinking it was Esau. But when his father finally died, I feel like God kept him alive because both Esau and Jacob were able to be there. I have a lot to be thankful for this year. But more important than that is that God has a purpose for us. Everyone in here, and we just have to surrender to that. Let's stop living in fear of the unknown and start counting our blessings. He got us here in an awkward, scary situation, in a scary space, and it seems like we're thrown away, and He doesn't have a purpose, and He's saying, I already prepared a blessing for you, and you need to go through here. Sometimes you need to go through Laban in order to get back to what hurt you. I'm going to open up a time of reflection. We're still going to get out of here plenty early. Hopefully the video plays. I have no idea about this sound. There we go. But let's use this time, man. Go to God. Stop saving that ass for when things get so bad that you don't know what to do. He said, come to me first, because I already got this plan and I already got this blessing for you. Just come to me first. Let's use this time right now to invite Him back in so you can be this dwelling place where everywhere He sends you, you don't have to worry because He's already with you. Bethel was already inside of you. Hallelujah, Jesus.
Someday soon we're gonna make it home. 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 Someday